Now, can we use multiple components on the same page or in the same template? Of course we can. If I just duplicate this another component, you see 2 times another works. Now all that text here is not really that useful. So if I want to, let's say, change the another component a bit and no longer output another works, but instead let's say I would have an article here, and this article should have some styling. It should, let's say, have a simple border and then output some text between. So I would of course add these styles metadata here to set up the article styling. And I just add a little border here. And I just added a solid black border around this article. So if I now save this, you see that this works. However, maybe I don't want to have a dummy text in here, but I want to pass this text from outside. There are 2 methods to do that, and one of them is data binding, property binding, which you'll learn about later. But sometimes you have components which only are kind of the container for other HTML code. And in order to allow you to pass other HTML code easily into your component, you can do the following. Let's say I want to pass in another div. And of course, this is getting long, this template, so it would be better to outsource it to an external HTML file, but I just keep it here to have it all in one place for demo purposes. And then in this div, I would have an h2 tag saying hello, and then a paragraph saying world. Now, if I save this, I'm not seeing it here. That's all broken. It's not outputting this, what I'm entering between these tags. And the reason is, of course, as I said, Angular 2 finds these tags, throws it away, and enters the content of your component template. And that is important because otherwise you would still see this loading ... thing if that wouldn't be replaced. So sometimes we don't want to replace it though. So in this case, I want to keep it. Good thing is Angular 2 has a handy directive we can use for this. And by simply adding ng content like this selector, this refers to a built-in directive Angular 2 offers. Now this will render all the content being passed between the opening and closing tag inside of this component. Therefore, this now works. And if I add, let's say, something else for the second time I use this component, like let's say just a paragraph saying something else, you'll see that this gets rendered too. And this is a good way how you can create reusable containers which take other HTML code and embed that inside of them. So this is how you can use ng content to render this HTML code within other components. Now what happens if I change this h2 to h1? Remember, I'm styling h1 for this component here. As you can see, the styling gets applied here too, because, well, this is not defined inside this another component. It's defined in the first app component, and this is the component which applies the styling. So be aware of that you style the content you pass into the other component inside of the parent component, like here.